Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be my March TBR. And if you have watched my March TBR video, you know that I'm wearing the same exact shirt because I finished filming that video like 2 minutes ago. So ignore that part. It is a hefty, it is an ambitious TBR this month. I read a lot of books in February. I'm very proud of what I read in February, and I think that gave me a lot of confidence to put this amount of books on my TBR. So first off, let me just say that 2 of the books on this list I picked straight from my TBR jar. You can watch that video and see that whole process. So I picked Beauty Queens by Libba Bray and Big Girl Panties by Stephanie Ivanovich. I'm not going to tell you what these are about because you can watch that video and I don't like repeating myself. Alright, so putting those to the side. I'm also wanting to participate in the Buzzword Readathon again, which takes place later on in the month. It takes place March 18th through the 24th. And then I also want to participate in the Femme Fatale Readathon, which is kind of new. I'll put the information about who started that and announcement videos down below. And that is basically all about reading women in fantasy, so written by women authors surrounding girls and women in fantasy, and that takes place March 2nd through March 8th. So I am going to start with the Femme Fatale books, and then I'm going to do the Buzzword Readathon books, and then I'm going to do all the other books that don't fall into a readathon. So let us get it moving. Starting with the Femme Fatale books, I have 6 books, right? I have 6 books on this list. Like I said, it takes place March 2nd through March 8th. That's 7 days. I can't read 6 fantasy books in 7 days. I know that already, especially because 2 of these are quite chunky. But yeah, even if I don't finish these books within that time span, they're still part of my overall March TBR, so I do want to finish them in the month. I just want to preface that with that. So first book I have here is A Curse So Dark and Lonely. I was so excited to receive this. Oh my goodness. This is by Bridget Chimera. Oh, I can never pronounce this woman's name and it's so frustrating. I actually read Letters to the Lost by her, which I'll talk about in my February wrap up. But this is a retelling of Beauty and the Beast. And when I heard that, I immediately knew I was going to buy it. Even without reading anything else that this author has put out. I have since read Letters to the Lost, but that was after I purchased this. But anything, you tell me that something is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, I'm going to buy it. I'm going to buy it. I live for that. It's my favorite, Disney princess, fairy tale, whatever. Belle is my favorite princess for obvious reasons. She loves reading, and she ends up marrying a dude with a huge library. Like, what? So that's what this is. This is literally a Beauty and the Beast retelling. I don't want to know anything else besides that. And I'm really looking forward to it. Also, this cover is gorgeous. It is a gorgeous cover. It's dark. It's angsty, which I feel like really fits the Beast as a character. But, okay. So this is the first one. Yay. Okay, so next book that I want to read in March is Siege and Storm. This is the second book in the Grisha trilogy, which I read book 1, which was Shadow and Bone, this month. Well, I'm filming this in February, so this month. So I went out and I got books 2 and 3. And basically the Shadow and Bone is about this girl named Alina, and she's an orphan. She's been a peasant, and she discovers, or it is discovered, that she has powers of a Grisha. And Grisha, and it's the Grishaverse, Grisha are these beings that have some type of ability surrounding the earth or the body, or just crafting things. That's kind of the best way I can describe without actually butchering all the names. And she discovers, or it is discovered, that she has a long lost power. And so the right hand man of the king, the Darkling, he's also a Grisha, he takes her and starts to train her and have her train so that she can hopefully help save the kingdom. And it all goes from there. I really enjoyed book 1, hence why I went out and I bought book 2 and book 3, which is behind me. But yeah, this is also part of the Femme Fatale readathon TBR that I'm doing. Next book we have here is Shatter Me by Tahara Mafi. I have been wanting to buy this for a while. If you go back to my Boyfriend Buys Me Books video, I've had this book since at least then. I forget what month that is. I think I was still wearing a winter coat, so it may have been, I don't even know. But I've had it for a while, definitely either over a year, coming close to a year, and I just need to read it. And my boyfriend and I are actually planning on buddy reading this, so this should be fun. And this is basically about a girl named Juliet. Her touch is fatal, and there's this thing called the reestablishment, and they have plans for her, and they want to use her as a weapon. And I guess this is her journey through that, and either being used as a weapon or not being used as a weapon. So I'm really finally looking forward to this. I know a lot of people really enjoy the Shatter Me series, and I know that the trilogy rather, and then I know that Restore Me or Defy Me, whichever one is book 4, came out last year, and then book 5 either just came out or is coming out. And so if I like it, I plan to continue on. Next we have Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. This is another one where I've heard really good things about it. A little bit chunky, but I am excited to just dive into this. It's part of a duology, so if I like it, I'll get the next book. Then I'll have to finish the series. But this is basically about this kid named Laszlo. Yeah, Laszlo Strange. He is a war orphan and a junior librarian, and he's been obsessed with the mythical lost city of Weep, which a lot of people don't think is a thing. And it's just his journey into finding out what happened in Weep. Finding Weep, is Weep real? And I'm really looking forward to this. I'm really just diving into like a really nice thick fantasy book. I always say that, and then when I'm in the middle of the really thick fantasy book, I'm like, why is it so long? But yeah. Next we have Arusha and the End of Time by Roshani Chokshi. This was one of those things where I was like interested by the premise, but it was really because Rick Riordan's name is like on it. It's his imprint, so I bought it. But I do really think that's going to be interesting. I have another book by Roshani Chokshi on my shelves I need to read as well, but it's a young adult fantasy book. This is a middle grade fantasy book, and it is, I believe, is in Hindu mythology. I'm like 93% sure this is based in Hindu mythology, but you have Arusha, and her parents, I believe, run a museum. Museum of Ancient Indian Art and Culture that her mom curates, and she is known for making up stories, and she makes up this story to tell these girls at school, and they don't believe her, and she ends up releasing a god, I think? Yeah, she unwittingly frees the sleeper, an ancient demon, oh, not a god, an ancient demon who is intent on awakening the god of destruction. Book 2 is coming out soon, so I really do want to dive into this and see if I like it, real dusty, and see if I like it, and I have a feeling that I will. It's not that long, so I should be able to breeze through it. Next and last on my Femme Fatale TBR, but also just overall March TBR, we have The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I actually recently ordered The Wicked King, the Barnes & Noble's exclusive edition, because it's a beautiful, beautiful cover, and I did not want it to sell out because Barnes & Noble's is having their like book haul sale, and it was a struggle, but hoping I like this so that, you know, buying the sequel was actually a smart idea. And this is about a girl named Jude, and her 2 sisters were stolen away to live in the court of Fae, or the court of fairy. They're not fairies though, they're humans, and so they kind of have to deal with that backlash of not being fairies but being humans, which I guess are seen as less than in the court of Fae, and learning a lot about court politics and how things work. I'm really looking forward to this. Like I said, I've had this for at least a year, and it's just interesting. I just need to just really dive into the fantasy books that I've had on my TBR shelves for a while so that I can reasonably bring in new ones. Okay, so those are the books for the Femme Fatale TBR that I'm going to try and at least like start and finish 3 of them during that week, and then we'll see about the other ones. The next readathon that I will be participating in is this next upcoming round of the Buzzword readathon, and the buzzword is actually a series of words: who, what, when, why, where, and how. And so you pick words that have those words in the title. And so I have 3 here that I saw on my shelves and was like, I want to try and read these this month. And so yeah, this is The Nowhere Girls by Amy Reed, and this is about a group of girls. I believe it's 3 girls. Yes, Grace, Rosina, and Erin. They kind of form this coalition, I want to say, to seek justice for a girl in their school who has been sexually assaulted by one of the most popular guys in school. And it's just their journey. It's told from all 3 of their perspectives. It has a lot of feminist themes. It deals with rape culture, victim blaming, things like that. And so I'm really looking forward to reading this, especially as we head into International Women's Month. Or actually no, as we head into Women's History Month, and then International Women's Day is coming up throughout the month. Next, we have Little Fires Everywhere. This cover is so soft. I love it. I need to take this sticker off. And this is by Celeste Nin. This is by Celeste Nin. I will learn the pronunciation of her last name by the time the wrap-up comes, and hopefully I've read this book. And this is about Shaker Heights. It's a placid, progressive suburb of Cleveland where everything is planned, and no one embodies the spirit more than Elena Richardson, whose guiding principle is playing by the rules. Enter Mia Warren, an enigmatic artist and single mother who arrives in this idyllic bubble with her teenage daughter Pearl and rents a house from the Richardsons. Soon Mia and Pearl become more than tenants. All 4 Richardson children are drawn to the mother-daughter pair, and I guess it's just how this very planned, quiet suburb reacts to these this mother-daughter pair that's obviously not what they're used to and not what they expect. Next, we have What Mama Left Me by Renee Watson. This is about a girl named Serenity who's good at keeping secrets, and her mother has died, her father is gone, and she's starting over at her grandparents' house, who have kind of put all their like hopes and dreams into her and what they think she should become. And it's, you know, a nice coming of age story about her just finding out who she is and dealing with that. And this is by Renee Watson, and I picked this up because I already had a Renee Watson book, which I'll get to, but I read Black Enough, which was edited by Evie Zuboy, and I really, really enjoyed it. And I'll talk about it in my February wrap-up, but I really enjoyed her story in particular, so I was like, let me go and get other things that she has published. And so there's this, which is part of the Buzzword Readathon round TBR that I have. But I also, in this TBR, heading out of that, I also put her other 2 books. So it's going to be like, hopefully, the month of Renee Watson. This is piecing me together. I've had this for a while, and I don't know what happened. I really don't know why I didn't read it. And this is about a girl named Jade who believes that in order to get out of her poor neighborhood, she has to excel and achieve at the super ritzy, white, rich private school, because that's what she's been taught. And it's just her journey, probably her journey weaving through that and finding out who is she when she's at home, who is she when she's at school, and just dealing with that balance. This one is also by Renee Watson, and it's co-written by Ellen Hagen, and it's Watch Us Rise. And so these 2 girls, Jasmine and Chelsea, they decide that they are going to start a feminist club at their school, and in tandem with that feminist club, they have a like online magazine, I believe, or an online newsletter. And they get a lot of backlash for this feminist club at their school, and just dealing with sexism and misogyny and like victim blaming and slut shaming at their school, while their online newsletter has gone viral at the same time. And it's just these 2 girls dealing with that. I'm really interested in seeing how this is dealt with, especially because Renee Watson is a Black woman, and I know this features a Black woman as well. And I'm really looking forward to potential themes of intersectional feminism and how that plays in, and how other identities are going to intersect in this book as well. I have a lot of feminist books, and I'm loving it so much. So far, that's Watch Us Rise, The Nowhere Girls. Yeah, so far. Next on my list is Speak by Laurie Halse Anderson. This version is the 20th anniversary edition, right? Yes, this is the 20th anniversary edition. This cover is so beautiful. It's so beautiful. Oh my goodness. And this is about a girl named Melinda, and something happens to her, and it kind of chronicles her time in high school. So it takes place over, I'm presuming, 3 or 4 years. Chronicles her time in high school dealing with this, and slowly but surely just going deeper and deeper into herself until she's not really talking to anyone. She's kind of an outcast. And then she has another interaction with someone, and she decides at that moment that she's no longer going to be silent anymore. And so it's her journey going through that. It's a short book, but I am expecting it to be a very impactful book at the same time. Next we have Saw Kill Girls by Claire Legrand, and this is a book. We follow 3 girls, and their stories come together on the island of Sawkill Rocks, where gleaming horses graze in rolling pastures and cold waves crash against black cliffs. And girls have been disappearing on this island for over a decade, and no one seems to care. And so these 3 girls kind of band together, and they decide that they're going to figure out what the hell is happening. This has a lot of feminist themes as well. I believe it has a female romance too. Yes. So I'm really looking forward to this. I think it's going to be a great read. Also, this cover is really cool as well. Next on my March TBR is Well Read Black Girl. This is an anthology of essays by black women writers. It's edited by Glory Edom. And it's essentially just about black women writers and what they found through reading and writing themselves, and how that changed them in different books and characters that really spoke to them, as well as other things, I'm sure. I will probably start reading this in the beginning of the month because I'm just, as you can see, I already have a bookmark in it. I'm really excited for it, and I'm just excited to dive in. One thing I'm really looking forward to, along with the essays, is that in here it has, in between every couple of essays, it seems like every three essays, there's like a list of something. So some of the lists in here, it's Well Read Black Girl Recommends Classic Novels by Black Women. Another one is Books on Black Feminism. Another one is Science Fiction and Fantasy Books by Black Women. So I'm also just, I like that it's an anthology of essays, but it's also a resource to further your reading when it comes to black women authors, which is definitely really, really needed. Next we have Red Clocks by Lenny Zumas. Lenny Zumas. And this is a story about, also feminist, this is a story about 5 women, I believe. 5 very different women, and in this version of America, abortion is completely illegal everywhere. In vitro fertilization is also banned, and the Personhood Amendment grants rights of life, liberty, and property to every embryo. And it follows the story of 5 different women navigating this kind of new America, if you will say, very prevalent to current times. And I'm really looking forward to this. I've heard mixed things, actually, so I'm looking forward to see where I stand. Next we have 100 Summers by Beatrice Williams. This is about a woman who always goes to Seaview, Rhode Island, and that's where her family has summered for generations. It's historical fiction. So it takes place in 1938, and it kind of bounces back and forth between 1938 and then I guess before Memorial Day 1938. And so she was engaged to this dude, or she was dating this dude, and she had this best friend. And so you follow that storyline in the past, and in the present 1938, you kind of her best friend is now married to her ex-boyfriend. And so the book is kind of figuring out, like, how did that happen? And I'm really looking forward to this. I'm trying to get more into historical fiction after I read Next Year in Havana. I'm really, books are dropping. After I read Next Year in Havana and really enjoyed it, so I'm looking forward to reading this as well. Next we have Anonymous Girl by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen. This is the writer duo that also wrote The Wife Between Us, and this is about a woman who signs up to be a test subject for like a psychological trial, I believe, and then that's really all I know. She does it because she just has to answer a few questions, collect her money, and leave, and it seems to be that the doctor, Dr. Shields, seems to know what she's thinking and just figuring out like that. And that's really all I know. I feel like you kind of have to go into a lot of psychological thrillers blind, and I'm totally fine with that. Next up, we have Death Note. This collects volumes 1 and 2 of Death Note. You know, it has one here, and this is the black edition, which is just absolutely beautiful. Oh my goodness. If I like this series, I will definitely be buying the rest of the black editions because wow. This is a manga series, and it follows a boy, Light. That's interesting. It's an interesting name. It follows a boy named Light. He's an A student, and he comes across this book called the Book of Death, and he figures out that if he writes someone's name in the exact manner that he, you know, would like them to die, that is how they're going to die. And it's just him journeying through having that book, but also meeting the god of death, I believe. Yes, the death god. And so Light vows to only use the Book of Death, or rather the Death Note, to rid the planet of less than desirable people. And as he goes on, the question is raised, like, will his noble deed or his noble goal turn him into the very type of person that he's trying to fight against? Next, we have Witch Part 1, The 12 Portals, Volume 2. I finished Volume 1 during the month of February, so I'll talk about it. This is based off of the show Witch, which was originally, a lot of people probably know Witch. A lot of us watched Witch when we were younger, but it was originally an Italian animated series based on an Italian graphic novel series, and then Disney made it, brought it to America, did 2 seasons of it in English, and now they are reprinting the graphic novels, the Italian graphic novels, in English, which is absolutely amazing because I loved this world, and I was so sad when we only got 2 seasons of it here in America, and I have a feeling that the graphic novels are going to go past what we were getting on TV. And it's basically about these 5 teenage girls, they're friends, and they are the guardians of the Veil, and they have these different powers, all dealing with the Earth's elements. They have to fight evil while also just being teenage girls, and I love it. I don't know how much I can say that I love this series, and yeah, there we go. Next up, we have a graphic novel called Bloom by Kevin Panetta and Savannah Ganushol, and it is about this boy, Ari. High school is over, and he is now working at his parents' bakery, I believe. Yep, his struggling family bakery. He loved working there as a kid, but it's not really something that he's interested in doing for the rest of his life. And then he meets a boy, and it's about their romance blossoming, and then Ari just coming to terms with his new family dynamic and figuring out, like, what does he want to do with his life. This, I mean, I love the art, and it's blue, and it's beautiful, and it's just like, it's probably going to be gut-wrenching, and I love it. I'm looking forward to it. Final book on my March TBR, but it'll probably be like one of the first books I start in March. And this should come to you as no surprise because I finished and talked about the first 2 books and my other wrap-ups. And that is Queen of Air and Darkness by Cassandra Clare. This is book 3 in the Dark Artifices series. Can't tell you anything about book 2 or what this one is about because I haven't even read the synopsis of this one since finishing Lord of Shadows. I should probably do that. But basically you have the Blackthorn family and Emma Carstairs. And in the Blackthorn family, you have the 2 older brothers, Julian and Mark, and then you have Christina, who's visiting from the New York Shadowhunters Institute, and they are dealing with some very naughty fairies, and they're also dealing with a lot of bigotry and a lot of prejudice within the Shadowhunter community, and it is, how do I do this without spoilers? It is engrossing. I love the characters. I say this about Lord of Shadows and Lady Midnight as well. It's very easy to fall into this world and realize you've read 100 pages, and it didn't feel like 100 pages. I love how Cassandra Clare is able to write romances. She's able to write complex romances. She's able to write engrossing characters of all ages and backgrounds, and she's also able to just keep you interested in a very big cast of characters. There's a lot of characters that we follow. And so yeah, I'm really looking forward to this conclusion. Alright, so these are some of the books that I'm planning on reading in March. This is probably like a third of them. It's a very ambitious... Okay, I'm gonna put these. Why do I always do this? It's a very ambitious TBR. It is. It is. And my goal with TBRs is not to read absolutely everything on the TBR, because there are other books that I'm just going to pick up. But I do like and strive to read most of them. And it helps put a dent on, you know, my backlist TBR. I'm putting this down because this is heavy. It does help put a dent on backlist books and, you know, just reading things that aren't necessarily new releases, and so that's mostly the goal. And so that is 23 books on my March TBR. My February TBR was 18 books, and I finished 10 of them, which is like impressive because that's never happened, that like ratio. That's over half. So hopefully I can also read more than half of these 23 books on the TBR, as well as just other things that I'm going to pick up in the month because I feel like it. But yeah, if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below. What books are you going to read for the month of March? Which new releases are you interested in? Don't forget to share this with all your bookish friends. Subscribe. Hit the notification bell so that you are notified every time I put out a new video. And I say in every video, I will be putting out more videos. I promise. I promise. Is this like undoing a promise? Whoops. But yeah, check me out on social media. I have Instagram, Twitter. You can also follow me on Goodreads. I rate books there. You can see my progress when I'm reading. Also reviews as well. And I will catch you next time. Bye.